Every good story starts at about 4:30 in the morning, end with money. So this is a story about my crane. Went to the rental place and picked up a trailer when they opened. Went to this farm here and had found this truck on Craigslist. I think we were a good match. People look at that truck and think, there's no way you could use that. But I like impossible odds. So I'm getting it. This is just some of the junk that I've been using all day. I believe it was about 7 hours or so of work getting it moving and onto the trailer. And actually had to do a lot of work just to get the crane down into its cradle. It had been up for about 20 years, he said. So here we have the broken axle. So he was yanking it with his dump truck and just snapped an old rusted U-bolt bracket in half, and the axle went backwards, and the wheels were still locked up. So now we had two problems to solve. So we did eventually get it going with a lot of air hammering and sledgehammers and straps, and got it on the trailer, strapped down. This is me at full throttle in first gear, 17 miles an hour up about a mile long hill, it felt like. And finally got it home in the driveway and had a neighbor help me get it off the trailer. That actually went somewhat well. Only took a half an hour or so. So just took some pictures of various parts of it. Just cool to see old equipment like this and imagine its life 40 or 50 years ago. Had to cut the drum off, cut it into two halves to get it off. It was just so frozen on there. There's the broken U-bolt bracket or plate, and this is all the crud I pulled out from it after chiseling off some cover plates. I think some animals had been living in there for a few years. And this is the finished product at this point. So now to the fun part. So I got various clips of me working on the bed. Found some cool old treasures like that spray can. It's amazing how much work some things take, and you just have to keep plowing through. There's not a tool for everything, but there are different ways of doing things, so I tried different ways. And this is, I think, one of the first ways I tried, other than just grabbing the boards and trying to rip them off. Prying them off, so that works. Sometimes the littlest pieces are the most difficult, like this one. So another tool is this air hammer I use for shearing off old rusted screws and smaller-ish bolts. I got the first of 4 big boxes off. Headed to the scrap metal pile. They're all rusted out. Those are the outer wheels I had to take off. 2 of the wheels were flat, or tires were flat. Get rid of those. There's some really cool wood that I'm gonna try to save, but it's got all kinds of things growing on it. It's really neat looking to me. This is the method that seemed to work the best, cutting a slot right next to the bolt heads. There's 2 bolt heads every foot or 2 on the bed on each board, so cut a slot next to it and rip the board out. The bolts come out lengthwise through the grain. But that took a while. Try not to smack yourself in the face here. Here's another awesome board. So more air hammer work here. Gotta get all the wires and brackets and things off this generator box. It's one of 4 boxes. Had to get off of there. Random stuff too, like the tail lights and wiring and little stuff. It just adds everything. This was the second side doing this. I'm cutting these slots out to be able to get to the decking underneath the crane. I need to get the old rotted wood and rotted metal out from underneath it so I can mount the crane directly to the frame with U-bolts. Tough work, dirty work, but kind of fun. So I'm being real careful here because the crane is only supported on wood blocks on the other side. And knocking the last few pieces of wood out between the crane and the rusted metal. So now I'm cutting cross members. They were all welded to the frame, upper frame there. Made it a pain to get them out. Had to weld, or had to cut facing up a few times. That's no fun. And blasting out all the dirt and crud. That's actually a board in between those 2 frame rails that's all rotted away, so I'm knocking the frame to kind of break it up. Some of it is still wood, but most of it's just crumbly pieces, and trying to get that all cleaned out so that I can clamp the 2 frames together and the crane solid to the frame, metal to metal. So I'm lowering it down here carefully. There's nothing supporting the crane now, so other than there is that 1 bolt left. That was cool. You can see all that crud sitting there. I pulled that out from kind of inside the crane. There were cover panels there. So now I'm using a drill to level out the crane deck. There's a shot of the drum that I had to cut a full circle around on the inside to get off. And now it comes to getting it off the jack. This is fun. I didn't realize that the other wheel can now roll. Neither wheel would roll originally, and I didn't chalk the wheels, so something to think about whenever you're doing stuff like this is be ready to run away. Okay. I'll fix this. And I did fix that. Got it jacked back up. And got the wheel on. Nothing was damaged, thankfully. So this is just cutting some bolts off. You can see those metal angle irons were bolted to two separate frames that had wood in them originally. But the wood's gone, so I need the 2 frames to sit against each other. Had to get rid of those bolts. And that's all the rust from the inside of the crane. Here's an outrigger. It was full of crud too. Animals had been living in there, I think. Got those cleaned out and the area all cleaned up, and just need to get some U-bolts and bolt the crane down next. Here's the last section of rotted wood to get out between the frame sections. Probably, I don't know, 4 to 6 feet of it was like that, 1 inch at a time, chiseling away. Got that all done. Broke a ratchet strap centering the crane on the frame, and it went right into my knuckle there. See the swelling a bit, and that's from today, a week later. I got new U-bolts, and crane is clamping the frames together and solid. So I posted a few days ago this part that I made, and it's actually the shaft to replace the spool for this small winch. And I welded a gear in that will drive a number 50 chain to a larger sprocket that I drilled out to match the pinion bolt pattern on the rear axle. So I was able to move it to the back of the garage. And today started working on this problem, this bearing. So we're gonna get a little bit dirty today. I'm gonna start working on this gear reduction box for the crane rotation. This bearing is shot, actually missing. And to get this box off, everything's so simple back down. There's just 2 bolts here, but the other 2 are either inside the box or behind the box, and it's completely full of leaves and crap back there, and full, so sat for 20 years. So we're gonna clean this out a bit. I've already pulled the screws. That was on the day I had to pick it up. We had to open that up to free it up because it was frozen. Alright, so it's just this gigantic heavy metal plate. And then, check this out. This is really cool. Check that out. All the gears and stuff. Reverse camera, but yeah, the input here. There's the, this is the brake. I would squeeze that for the brake. And little gear to big gear. Little gear to big gear. And a worm gear to big gear. So you just turn this and that other gear moves very, very slowly. The bearing I need to replace is underneath this. So that should not wiggle like that. It should not be moving around like that. I don't know how hard it's going to be to get that out, so I'm going to start working on that and I'll get back to you. One more thing before I start trying to find bolts, or as I'm trying to find bolts. This, I think this is supposed to be lubrication. Okay, I'm gonna take these 2 bolts out. I'm gonna use this new trick I learned on YouTube to get these bolts out really quick. Ready? 1, 2. See that? Where they just fell out of there? It's cool. Now you can just pick them up and put them wherever you want after you do that. So, I'm going to see if this guy will move at all. I don't know. Might just be 2 out of 4 bolts, but the other ones are hiding. But it's not budging. So we'll keep looking. Let's negotiate. Okay, so now I'm trying to jack this bearing up because I think it's a slip fit through the housing, and it's just rusted in place. So I'll put a bunch of pressure on it, and then probably get my air impact for vibrating all this metal here so it'll push through. But I'm going to try just a few hits with the hammer, see if it'll work.
actually see now the bottom flange here where I have the heat is actually moving. See it wanting to slide up. So I'm going to go for the top flange now.
So coming up here, there's a crucial spot that I noticed when I pried. Right there, where it moved. And I knew something was happening, so that was hopeful. Alright, so making headway. And I knew something's gonna happen soon. That wasn't it though. You can place your bets as to how many hammer hits before the explosion happens. Once it goes into slow-mo, you can guess between 1 to 10. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you guessed 6, you're the winner.
Got it. I hope I got that on the video right. That was awesome. That's what I wanted. Got it. So this was pressed through those 2 layers. So, there she blows. Gearbox. Yeah, I got a little bit. Missed a little bit. Well, step 1, remove the gearbox.
So thanks for watching my crane video. I'll be making more of them, hopefully shorter ones as I go, and let you all see what's up, 'cause it's real out here.